we're going to be covering something that's going to blow most of you away, an idea called table funding. And table funding changed the game for me. And I started training other people to do the same thing because it actually works for everybody. It works for them because they can get more deals done, works for me because I can get more notes purchased. So what I did is I kind of set my business up where I was training people to put a deal together and bring it back to me so I could fund it. And it worked because it allows you, the investor, to go out and tie up a property on a contract and then turn around before you close on it, get it sold. So we're going to look for a buyer, but we're looking for a buyer that needs owner financing. And so once we find this person, we go to contract with them, and then we basically go to closing, which is where I show up into closing with a big fat check to cash out everybody. So the seller gets paid, and then that deed transfers basically automatic at closing, and you get paid the difference between what you contracted with a seller and what you sold to that buyer at, minus the discount on the note. So that's called a simultaneous closing. And that's what I'm going to be covering tonight, because now, and by the way, it's so hard to find simultaneous closing funds for land, for infill lots, because the discounts are so high. Now we're able to do it with land, and that's what we're going to go through tonight. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and kind of walk you through basically what we are really looking at here doing. So again, I call this basically a simultaneous closing. Simultaneous closing because you've got more than two transactions going on at the same time. So we call something where we're doing a double, something where we just have two transactions. We're buying it from one person and then reselling it to another. We call that a double closing. But we have like a different term really that we use in the business for where we have three transactions going on, and that's or more, and that's simultaneous closing. So just kind of like it just kind of like takes care of everything. So that's what we're going to be going through. Again, what we're doing three closings all at one time. It allows you to buy from the seller, then you sell to the buyer, and then I buy that owner financing note at closing. And then what happens is the seller gets wired a cashier's check, or gets wired money, or if they opt to get a cashier's check, they can certainly do that too. And then the title company or the attorney, whoever we're closing with, they will send that money out to them. And then, of course, you get your difference as your profit, and the buyer gets the deed to the property. Now, what I'm describing tonight only is right now, okay, only applies to Texas. I'm working on putting more additional monies together where we can go outside the state. So I'm working as hard, as fast as I can. Before, when I was doing this with houses, we had all 50 states covered. It took a little while to do that, but we went for many years. I think we had a 10-year run on it because I bought somewhere around 60 million, no, 5-year run on it. I bought around $60 million in notes from our people, mainly about 100, 120, $130,000 notes. So it gives you an idea of the numbers. And just think about this. All those people, they were making money on these deals as they just put them through and just brought them in. So I basically am guiding you, showing you, well, how do you put the deal together? How do you structure it right? And so that I can buy that note. So really, we kind of basically do I must say it's technically like a joint venture, because you and I are going into partnership on a deal that you're doing, where I'm coming in there at the end and buying it. So it's almost like somebody funding the deal for you. All right, so let me give you an example deal, so it helps to kind of understand the numbers and why this is so powerful financially. Now, this is the deal that I did a couple of weeks ago. I have the subdivision where the lots are going for 35 to 40,000. Somebody just threw up some new lots on there at 49. You guys know what's going on with the prices in land right now. But the top price at that point was 40,000. So I priced it with owner financing at 40,000. I've been able to contract this with the seller for a little under 7,000. And then what I did is my structure that I have in my head when I go to sell these, and basically this was just put up on Facebook and sold on Facebook Marketplace, is 40,000 if I do owner financing, and I could negotiate down to 35 and take 35, 34. Heck, I'd take 33 because look at my profit margins on it, right? So I'm going to take whatever I need to get a fast turn, because the idea behind being able to do this is what I call bread and butter money, is that you can do multiple over and over. You just do a lot of them, because what you're able to do is pay some pretty high prices for land that you normally, maybe a seller will like balk at your $7,000 price. Well, I could have gone to 10, I could have gone to 15, I could have gone to 20,000 on this deal and still made a profit. All right. So what's this? The idea behind this owner financing is it allows you to go ahead and lift your price up and beat all of your competitors out there who try to beat up the seller and be able to just find a great deal. So you can do multiple. When you can offer owner finance, you can find these buyers faster. You'll find them where they now start to line up on you, because you'll get 1 or 2 or 3 approved, and now they're waiting for you to bring them the next deal, because you'll lock up and sell this one, which happened on this one. I have 2 more buyers that I picked up off this Facebook ad. One was a cash buyer, and he was willing to pay me 34 something cash, but I didn't want to take that because he was a controlling freak of a guy. And you talk to those people and they want to do everything their way. It always costs you money, right? When you end up having to work with somebody like that. I like people who want to do things my way. And by the way, there's no faster way of getting somebody just to do everything your way than when you're the one financing them. And what this is doing, it's allowing you to finance them. So this is your note. This is you saying, hey, maybe I can finance you. Let's take a look at your credit and see what we've got. And by the way, we work with a wide variety of credit. Your jaws will drop when we get there. All right, so basically on this one, I put it out at 40K, and I got my 40K, and no negotiation, because when you're owner financing, people don't generally negotiate. They only negotiate because they're going to come up with cash. So you can get your premium price, you can get your full market price when you sell land this way. By the way, in this subdivision, the builders are paying max. Builders are paying $18,000 to $20,000 max. I got a retail buyer to give me 40 with owner financing. Other buyers are paying cash at 30 to 35 negotiated. But this is telling you something. It's telling you that while builders are great, and I sell to builders every once in a while, I might be in a subdivision where I can't oversell the property because we don't have the demand there, but the builders are there. Maybe, I don't know. But you can get more by going to the retail buyer. Now, the reason why a lot of people like builders is because you don't really have to assign them. It's easier to assign your contract to a builder than it is assigning it to a retail buyer. A retail buyer doesn't understand why you're making so much money in between them. That's not where their head is. A builder doesn't care what you make. They're looking at the bottom line. I'm going to basically, give you X amount in this subdivision. That's it. Take it or leave it. Well, they don't care if you paid $1,000 for that lot or, $1,000 under what they're offering you. They absolutely don't care. But a retail buyer will. And so it's hard, if not almost impossible, to flip to a retail buyer unless you do a double closing where you're actually buying it with your money and then reselling it so they don't see what you're making. But in this case, when I come in there, nobody sees anything that you're doing because you're the seller in this situation selling to the buyer. And that's the only transaction that's taking place on that side. And on the other side, you're just in a contract with a seller. So the two don't actually, there's actually two completely separate transactions. but we take control of it. So we're working with the title company or the lawyer to make it all work for you. So I step in at that point. I'm usually having a conversation with the closing people, and I'm going to tell them and basically arrange and tell them what we need to make it happen for you. So it also is great because most of the time it's hard to take deals, creative deals, to any title company. But this kind of a deal where you're doing the owner finance, you can take it to any title. You don't care because they all will do this kind of a transaction because it's not what's normally, a wholesale flip or something like that. So just following through now. So what happened is I got my 29,000. Basically, I'm selling the note for 29,000. Now the note on this was basically we take 40 and we take a 10% down payment. So basically they come in with 4,000. This guy, for some reason, I just told him 5 and he came in with 5, and then so it was a little bit skewed, but it would have been a $35,000 note. But in this case, we paid 29,000 for the note. In which case, basically, I'm just buying it for myself. But this could be you, right? This could be your deal doing it, and we'll show you a deal in a second with somebody else. I'll show you an example. So at closing, I pick up the money that's on the table. Okay, is 29,000 plus whatever down payment you pick up, because remember that down payment is your money too. So you're owner financing, so you're going to get a down payment 10%, and then you're going to get a note. And then you sell that note, and that puts money on the table. So there's money coming from two areas in the transaction. So basically, on the table was 34,000 minus what I had to pay the seller, left me with a total of 27,000 cash. And so that is the way that the deal flows financially. Now this one, we closed it inside of a week. I can close fast. I can even close technically without a title company involved under the right situations. I'll take a look at your deal. Maybe it works. But if your buyer doesn't want title insurance, there's no use in going through a title company. And well, I take that back. There'll be some situations, but mainly we're always going through a title company or we're going through a lawyer. I was going to say, rather than go through a title company, you can just go to a lawyer and the lawyer can close it out, and that's fine. So we can do it either of two ways: lawyer closing or a title closing. And then wire is instantly wired into your account. All right, so here's another deal. This will be my last case study, and then we'll go into the actual steps to show you what you could be doing to put these deals together yourself. So on this one, we had one of our members brought this deal to me because he went to contract with the seller. He put it up on Facebook for $19,000, and the clock started ticking. He couldn't find a buyer. So now he's got just weeks left on his contract, and he's saying, okay, how do I make this deal? How do I save this deal? Because he got it at a great price. He got it for $7,000, and it's worth $20,000 all day long. So I told him, okay, let's go ahead and put owner financing on it, and so we did. So in this case, he offered to originally he was offering 19. We just raised it up 1,000, put it back on Facebook for 20,000. Or he would take 15,000 cash all day long. So that's the deal. Either or would work fine for him, and he has got plenty of profit on that deal. But instead, what happened? We put the owner finance, and immediately within days he had a buyer, and the buyer only had to come in with what? 10% down. That's 2,000 down. That's basically nothing, right? And then we had a note for the difference, $18,000. And we sold the note, right? So we sold the note. So basically, I'm just stepping at that point. I'm paying him $15,000. So when you sell the note, you're going to create more cash that's on the table. So it's 15,000 plus the down payment. Remember, you always keep the down payment. That was 2,000 down. So total on the table here is $17,000. And all he had to do was wire 7,000 at closing, which is what we do, to the seller. And now his profit was $10,000. Okay. Now we got right down to closing, and the buyer backed out. We had a good buyer, but we had a horrible attorney on it. The attorney literally messed up every piece of the HUD. I'm talking every line by line. I don't think she got anything right. And of course, he saw it right away because he was a builder. And he was a builder that his idea was, hey, I'll buy this on payments because I'm not ready to build on it. And I don't want to put out all that money if I don't have to. So it was working out great for him. But when he saw the lawyer messed up so bad, he just bailed on it. And but here's what happens and why the owner finance still worked for him. Well, he had gotten attention, right? When he put that ad up there, he started getting other buyers that were interested. He got a realtor, and that realtor saw the deal and said, "Hey, I've got a buyer." So now they've got a buyer. Maybe they do owner financing, or maybe they do cash. Who knows? But he negotiated a cash deal so far on it. We'll see. We'll see if we'll see where it goes. But right now, I don't know. But so anyway, he's got 15,000 on cash. Now look at this. He's got a cash deal at 15. He's probably going to have to come out with some closing costs, but let's just leave the closing costs out because they're still going to be minimal because you're the seller on the seller side. And you can pretty much put all the closing costs onto the buyer side, which is what we did with the builder. The builder was paying 100% of the closing costs. So anyway, now let's look at this deal from a cash standpoint. Well, he's still doing great at 15 if we come in with a cash buyer. But he would actually make more if he did owner financing, right? So he's going to make $2,000 less than the so he's going to be basically making 8,000 if he sells for cash, whereas he could make 10,000 if he's selling with owner financing. Is this crazy or what? So you actually can make more in some situations, like the lower you go, the more likely that is to happen. So that it is a crazy thing where you just shouldn't ever do a deal without owner financing. Plus, again, you just get more buyers and potentially more future deals. All right. So how did I sell this thing in 2 weeks? Basically, I just contracted with the seller, and then I threw a Facebook ad. I boosted it each week. So I did a 7-day boost. I think I paid $12. I'm just pulling that out of my head. But anyway, I boosted it twice. I think it's $12. And out of that, I not only have that, but I have another lady, and I'm working with another seller right now in the same subdivision. And I sent her to go look at the lot already. So she's happy. So as soon as I get my contracts and everything with my seller, I'm ready just to put her in it. And she can't go anywhere else. She's got some problem credit. She knows she can't go anywhere else to get financing for property. So we can kind of get a lock on people. Now I'm going to show you this calculator, which will, when you get in here, you'll have access to it, and it's basically right here. So this is basically where you can go and kind of play with a calculator to figure out where are you going to be on a note? How much can you pay a seller for when you go in here and try and put one of these simultaneous closings together? Pretty much you just want to leave the down payment as 10%. And by the way, when you get into the members area, you have access to this. You can click on a button and go right here. But this is the layout here, and you're only needing to change the areas in background white. So in this case, we sold that property for 20,000, right, with owner financing. So you can just plug that in there. And if he ended up actually, knowing if he negotiated a cash price, you want to kind of compare apples to apples, right? So in this case, yeah, you offer it for 20 with owner financing, but you'd be willing to take 15 cash all day long. So it breaks it down. Here's your cash deal and what that looks like. Here's your owner financing and what that looks like. And pretty much what you're going to do here is just adjust closing costs if you have any. Most of the time you can negotiate those away. And then, well, what did you pay for it? All right. And in his case, he paid 7,000, which gave him a $7,000 profit with owner financing, and a $6,000 profit with if he does cash. Now you'll see that this is a little bit off from what we just discovered, because when you participate with the program, and you're bringing me in basically like a joint venture partner on the deal. I'm going to be in there and to participate on the profits. All right. So I'm helping you all the way through the deal whether you sell it with owner financing and I step in and buy the note, or whether you're selling with cash. And technically, while you didn't need me, you still needed me, and I was in there to help you. Either way you go, even if the cash deal doesn't close, we're right back into owner financing. Hopefully, you have one or two people lined up ready to go. But in either case, I still need to participate on the deal. What I did, at one time I was doing this 50-50. So I knocked that all out, changed it to a 20% of the gross profit. So whatever you're netting basically as your profit on the deal at closing, 20% of that would go to me. So if you're making 10,000, then 2,000 would come to me. So you're making 8, I'm making 2. However, if you end up like Amber's is doing on that deal, maybe just going with a cash buyer, then I'm only in for 5%. So I'm just taking enough to make it worth my time to have spent the time getting your people qualified and doing all that, because I'm coming in there personally and doing all that to make sure it's done right. These notes we have to hold long term. We're talking a lot of them 10 years. So that's basically the way the splits occur on the transaction. Now, what you can do is play around with this calculator. So once you kind of spot and say, okay, well, I'm in here at let's say I'm going to do a let's say $50,000 lot. And by the way, what we're looking for primarily are infill lots that have got some development. We're going to go over that in just a second. But let's say $50,000. And maybe if you sold that on, if you had a cash buyer come in and negotiate, you don't know where you'll be exactly, but I would say you'd probably take a $43,000 offer if you were, trying to flip this thing fairly fast. All right, we're not looking to marry deals and set on for 6 months like some long-term investors are. All right, so this gives us immediately where we're going to be, and we can now start to play with where would we be financially if we say we bought this at 20,000. All right, so that would be our negotiated price. So this calculator is designed to help you before you get into negotiation with a seller. Where can you be is the question. How high could you go with your offer? Because remember, if you can beat the other guy, you've got the deal. It's yours. And all that profit in there is going to also be yours. So in this case, you've got 16,000 versus 18,000. So you can kind of see both ways. Hey, if I sell for cash, I'm here. If I sell on owner financing, I'm here. So now it allows you to go ahead. Well, worst case scenario, you were maybe fighting it out with somebody else or whatever, or they just were hard negotiator or whatever else. And they said, okay, you know what, 30,000 as is the lowest I'll go. All right. So basically you're still making 8,800 offering your owner financing, 10,000 if you can get a cash deal done on it, 10,008. So this calculator is really designed to help you go in there, figure out before you go in there and start negotiating, how high can you go on an offer and not have to come out of money out of your pocket. So you're telling the seller at closing, basically, you're giving them this cash. And why are you giving them that cash? Because you sold the note to me and I gave you the cash. So now you have the cash to give to the seller. That's the idea behind the simultaneous closing. Okay, let's go ahead and go back into.
John, quick question.
Yes.
Was that 8,000 including the down payment? No, right?
Yes. Yeah. Everything is included. All the cash on the table was included in that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. In general, and just for a side note, just so in general, if you're below 80% of your sales price, you're probably going to be in a money area where you're making profit. So you don't have to go around making 50 cents on the dollar offers, 30 cents. Now, I'm not telling you not to. I'm telling you, yeah, go do that. That's what I do. I'd do the same thing you guys are doing. But if I'm in a subdivision that I like and I've got buyers, especially if I just sold one, right? Maybe that one where I had a great deal, made a lot of money on that one. But now I've got a buyer. She's sitting there and she's money. She's money to me. She's money to you. If you can get another property. So now it allows you to go in there and go shopping. Hey, I literally were calling agents trying to negotiate a deal for her because until I got a hold of this other lady, but I was ready to go, make some offers and just do it strictly retail. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff when you have money, which is what you have now. You have money to go out there and put into a deal. Okay, so let's go look through the steps to using the program. Now we use that note term tester. Oh, by the way, before we go any further, because we covered a lot of information, let's open it for quick questions on what we covered so far.
Yes, sir, John, I got a question.
Yes, Kenny.
How do we know, or what's the markup or markdown to sell to you on the note? What's the percentage? If I
I'm
got
gonna
it
actually
for,
cover, yeah, I'm
I
about
like
to
it.
cover that.
Oh.
Yeah, we will cover that because I'm gonna
Okay,
show you
sorry about that.
how you actually get the quote. You're
Okay.
actually gonna get a quote from me. This calculator though was designed to help you kind of get in there and see where my discount. See, my discount was built into that deal, and the fees and everything connected, because ultimately, you've got to get to the bottom line. Where are you going to be financially on it? And that's what that calculator is really designed to do. Okay, so now we're gonna. Any other questions, by the way? Okay.
I have one. Is there an app for that calculator, or it just?
No, but would you like
Okay.
to build me one? I don't have an app for it, but
We can do that.
yeah, I know it could actually be done very easily. I've built them where they're app friendly because I like to open them up on my phone just by going to the website. But yeah, I don't have an app for it. Number two, we enroll the property into the program. All right. So when you decide, okay, I've got a property, I'd like to get this in where I can offer owner financing. You're actually going to go to a place in the members area, and you just plug it in and put the information in there. And it's quite simple. You're not even you just need to give me 3 bits of information. I need the parcel number, I need the name of the owner of the property, and I need the county. That's it. So it's pretty simple to get your property enrolled and you and I working together on it. That's how it starts. And then what you want to do, immediately go and just stick owner will finance on every piece of advertising you've got, because that is going to get that thing sold, and it's going to get it sold quickly. There's nothing that brings buyers out of the woodwork quicker than owner will finance. Now, the problem with most people in the business where they might be offering owner financing and stuff is they're looking for a credit. Basically, they want like, okay, stellar credit, and if you don't have that certain score, you're out. All right, we can work all the way down to 520 credit score. But what we're really looking for is somebody who's like, they're not in the middle of bankruptcy or something, they're on a tear of just messing up, their whole financial life. We want somebody with a job and stuff. So here's what we're looking for. We're going to have them fill out a credit app, and you'll download the app from our website, and you'll just email that over to them. And then you'll get that back into me. All right. So once that comes back, I'll either approve or deny it. And then after that, we're really looking for proof of income, and I can work with 1 month pay stub or bank statement showing the income that they're saying they have on the credit app. And that's basically it from that standpoint. We're going to look at ID, but that's closer to closing. And at that point, you just go to the contract note sell clause to keep it safe. Now, what is that? Well, the note clause is a clause that basically allows you, the seller, to nix the deal if for some reason something goes wrong. All right, so you need that clause in there. It's a real simple clause. You just stick it in the contract. Now, I provide you a contract that we use. It's all ready for you, ready to go. And that contract, let's see if I might even have a copy of it here. But that contract is it's a simple 1-pager, and it's got the clause built into it. And but it's kind of an all-in-one. It's got everything you need in it. Or you can use a TREC contract, the Texas Real Estate Commissioners Commission's contract, and then their seller financing addendum would go with that. And then somewhere in there, you want to stick the clause. And the clause just says that it's subject to having the note sold at closings. So it's a real simple type of thing that you can put together. So when you get that credit app, you're going to just basically email it into me at this address. And then at that point, you're ready to close. So you can send the sales agreement to a title company or a lawyer closing. We'll cover all this in our training call, how to do the details on and what you're kind of trying to achieve on these steps here. And then you have the buyer deliver the earnest money of at least 500 to a title company. I prefer 1,000 or 2,000 on my deals because it really gets somebody committed, so they don't do what this last guy did, and you know, he was ready to walk away from his earnest money because of it. So get a little bit of money down when you do these things so that you have a serious buyer. All right, and next, you want to provide me with a closing agent's name and phone number. All right, because I need to have a talk with them. I've got to explain to them what's about to go down in their closing company. So that's either with an attorney's office or a title company. Now, one of the great things when you're negotiating with a seller, you can say, well, I basically close through American Title, just whatever title company you want to close at, really. But what some title companies that's close to where this property is at, because that's where the buyer's probably going to be. Then that's where the property in the county is. So you want a title company in that county. And again, you take your pick. They're all the same when we're doing these kinds of transactions. But I do need to have a talk with them to go over the steps so that we don't have problem issues that come up later. And then basically that's it. You know, we just wait for closing. They're going to give an all clear to close, and then people will show up. And the great thing on the seller side is you can tell them my title company will send you out a notary, and you can close the deal right in the privacy of your own home. And they'll wire the title company. I always like to use the word title company. Title company will wire money directly to you or send you a cashier's check. And they just love hearing that. You always want, by the way, when you're negotiating, whether you're using this program or not, always describe to the seller how they get paid, how this closing. I've had sellers think they have to actually fly in and come in and close. People think all kinds of things, so you really have to walk them through it. All right, let's take a quick look at buyer's criteria. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so we're pretty open as far as no social security, because in Texas, you know, 90% of the buyers we're seeing are first generation immigrants, and some of them haven't even gotten a social security yet. Most of them have a TIN. But we love doing these loans. These are great people to finance because they pay like no American will pay. Kind of goes without saying. I think most of you know that if you've been in this business for any length of time. So we love to do deals on them. That's why we really don't even look at credit scores, right? So what we're really looking at is their job. You know, are they employed? Are they making enough money to make this payment? And here's the great thing about land. The payments that we're oftentimes dealing with people on is a low payment. You know, it's usually 500 or less. And pretty much if you have a job out there today, you can make that payment. You kind of qualify. So this is certainly not like back in the day when we were qualifying people for houses, where it was always a little shaky, because if we didn't have a problem on their credit, we had a problem on their income, not enough income to support $1,000 a month payment versus what we're doing here. A lot of times around the 500-600 tops area. Okay, so I've gone over this pretty much, and the 10% is required. And quite frankly, it doesn't help you. It doesn't really put any more money on the table if you go to 20%. Now, it will put a little bit more money at 30% down, but you know, and that's an option. So if you are talking to somebody and they say, okay, I have 30% down or 40% down or even 50% down, hey, it can be a great doable deal. I do a lot of deals where I've just taken them to tell them, hey, just give me 50% down because I bought that property for 50%. And so I'm just taking their down payment and I'm using that to pay the seller, financing them. All right. So now it's the true me only owner financing, no note sell involved. There's all kinds of options when you get in here and start talking to people about owner financing. And now you're making long-term, you're making monthly income. But the nice thing about this is you can take that note and sell it right at closing. So now you get all your cash now instead of waiting for it. But it is an option. All right. So I'm a big believer in building up monthly income. So if you can start building up monthly income, like do a cash deal, owner finance, and keep repeating that. And eventually what will happen is you'll do financing, cash deal, financing, cash deal. All right. So you don't need as much cash anymore because you're okay. Plus you've now accumulated all this monthly that starts to add up. And that's the way you really build this business to basically become independent and not have to literally close a deal every month. All right. So steps to working with me. Once you get a note in, and we have a submission form for that, plugged it up just a second ago. You're basically pushing this form into me. You're going to put your information down here. You'll select the kind of property. Now we've been talking about infill lots, which is basically land improved because it's got some improvements on it. It's in a subdivision generally, and it's usually got electricity at a minimum. Now some of these they may require a well and a septic, and that's not in there. That's still an improved piece of property. So that's a land improved because it's got roads in there, but it's got mainly electricity. So that's the key thing. So, and it's like small, it's a lot and block type of thing. Now, land unimproved is when we get into acreage, and pretty much, I'll tell you, it's going to be tough to do on a financing. I'm just not going to be able to put enough money on the table for you to want to cash that out. The discount's just going to eat you alive. And so to me, not worth it. But if you had a big enough piece and you got it cheap enough, then yes, that's definitely a doable deal. We can do some light commercials. We're doing one for right now, $350,000 roughly piece of commercial property. So if you run across some commercial property, and so you're getting it at a good price, then that's a doable deal for sure. We can do residential too. I'm not a big fan of doing all these other things because land is just so much easier, quicker, and boom, you're closing in a month. In a week, 2, tops. You get into other things and you start to have to do all these extra things. You've got to do inspections. You got to wait. They're going to come back and renegotiate. To me, it's just a headache. That's why I got out of the house business. Going on almost 8 years now, and I only do land. So, but I'm, it's all possible. It's all possible. And then any other details you think will be maybe make me make a decision one way or another. We don't want to waste time, right? So if this is a desert lot, not interested. Is it in a major flood zone? Not interested. So, it's got to be a good lot. This has got to be a buildable lot, something that somebody wants to buy and build on at some point, maybe now, maybe later, but it's got to be a buildable lot. There's a lot of trash lots. There's hundreds of thousands of trash lots. And these guys, investors, they buy them for, a song, 500 or less oftentimes. And the owner finance them 5,000 to 10,000, whatever. And that's a good business. And I'm not poo-pooing that at all, man. You set up a system. It's a lot of work to me for the money, but it's workable. I just prefer to go after bigger deals, make a big chunk of profit where I don't have to work a full-time job. I want to work part-time. And these kinds of lots, that's what allows you to do. So that's basically submitting that into me. So you can go through this calculator before I leave. You can go through the calculator and put in your note. Let's say 80,000 sales price, which would make we would need 10% down. So write 8,000 down, and then the loan amount would be that subtracted for that. I'm not even going to do math on a live call because I will mess it up. I'll leave it there, and then your terms. Now, What I want you to do is not put in 360 months on every note you submit. This is not going to help because I am going to hit you with a discount that's you're not going to like, right? And these people don't expect to get a loan for 360 months on piece of land. They expect 360 on a house, not land. Land traditionally is a 10-year note. So you want to push the 10-year note if you can. Oops. Which is a 120. That's 120 months at 10%. But you can kind of start to see what this does. It will calculate the monthly payment at that point for you. And so you know what you need to draw up your ad, right? So you've basically submitted this into me. I've gotten back to you, told you what I'm going to pay for it. We've done the math. You're okay with it. Well, these are the terms you're going to advertise when you do owner financing. Now, take my advice here. Don't ever put terms in an ad. First of all, there's never any reason to do that. You basically are putting the cart before the horse because you don't know yet what these people need from you or willing to do or anything else. So they might come in and say, hey, I'm ready to put 50% down. You don't know. Okay, but if you put 10% down, they're only going to come in with 10%, and you start only getting people that want to put 5% down. All right, so don't do that. Only advertise the fact that you will own or carry. That's all they need, because now it also forces them to call you to figure out what's involved with that. Now you've got a conversation going, especially on Facebook. It's like they just hammer you like, is it available? Is it available? And you say yes. Conversation goes nowhere. So I'm going to train you in our training when you get in here. How do you answer? What do you say to immediately get somebody that's serious and ready to go? And how do you get them committed very quickly? And now you've got a buyer. So all that's kind of covered as we go into training, which, by the way, we have a training call coming up this Wednesday. Okay, now let me go ahead and finish this out. So there's two ways we close. I mentioned it before: lawyer or title company. You can do either or. There's a reason why we like to use lawyers when there's no title involved. So you have some buyers that say, I don't want to spend another $1,500 in closing costs if I don't have to. Property criteria: no mobile homes. All right, so we've covered pretty much everything here, but no mobile homes. Now pictures, we do need some pictures of it, but hey, look, there's so many ways to get pictures now, right? Even getting somebody to just run out there from a gig on Craigslist or Facebook, right? So it's pretty easy to get pictures. But if it's on a street view, hey, that's good too. That's good enough. So anyway, that's the idea behind what we're needing. Now, here's what you just definitely don't want to do. Do not file a memorandum of contract. That's only going to slow us up and create more time hassles and other problems. Try not to charge less than 10%. This is not a house. This is land. Now, traditionally, land, if you can find financing, usually it's through a financial company that is doing the development, and they've securitized their money to be able to do this. And they're generally at 12 to 13%. That's what they charge for land. So that's not what these guys are after. They're not trying to go after even that kind of land or those kind of deals, because they want where you are, and nobody's going to be doing that where you are. That's in a development somewhere. Oftentimes they advertise on the radio, TV, or whatever, but that's their rates. Now, if a person tries to go to a bank to get a loan for a piece of land, Bank of America is going to tell them it's 23% interest, because they don't lend on land. They lend on houses, but they don't lend on land. So they look at land as an unsecured loan, which is 23% interest. So there's no reason for you not to be at 10%. Next, don't make promises. Don't charge for credit checks or application fees. That's highly illegal. And you certainly don't want to get yourself thrown in jail, because that's where some people have landed for doing for charging upfront fees. Only a mortgage broker can charge fees for credit apps or stuff. You got to be licensed, or you got to be the right kind of person. We're not that person. Okay, so this is basically your plan for success using a bread and butter strategy. Bread and butter means, hey, let's just go out there. We have to pay what we have to pay to get the deals, And then boom, we can make our little profit. Is that 5,000? Is that 10,000? 3,000, you know? These are so hands-free and fast, you can do them. I don't, you know, I mean, if I had to do something at 3, I would, but I mean, generally 5 is like, you know, you should be kind of like your cutoff. But if you're just starting, do what you need to do to put a deal together. All right, so 3 deals at 5,000, that's 15 a month. And then you're looking for those nice deals, right? Where you might be able to get a $40,000 deal for 7,000, right? Something like that. And then that's your bonus. Those are the bonus deals. They might come every 2 or 3 months. Who knows? You know, it just depends on how hard you're marketing. 3 deals a month at 10,000 is 30,000 a month. This is money that you can't sneeze at. This is money that's doable. I started the night by saying, you should, when you see an opportunity, you should take it then. Don't wait. Don't think it's going to be there tomorrow or the next day or later. As a result, I wrote a book called Millionaire Mind Programming, and in there, I just kind of listed a lot of the stuff I've learned over the years, and it says in there that the window of opportunity opens, but it closes even faster. And so when you see it open, that's when you got to get through the window, because before you know it, that window is closed and you can't get in. It's over. So if you see opportunity, it's usually a sign too, right? It's a sign. If you're seeing it, it's a sign that maybe you should take it. I'm not saying that specifically for me. I'm just saying in general, when you see it out there, no matter where, you should be jumping on it, because you see something a lot of other people also don't see. All right. Thank you all for coming in. I really appreciate all the time you stuck through this whole thing with me. And I hope this thing works out really well for you. Look forward to working and meeting you as well.